What's up, guys? It's me Boxing. I just finished up watching Terence Crawford versus Kell Brook, which is a 12-rounder for the WBO welterweight world championship. And this fight was Saturday, November 14th from the MGM Grand Conference Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, broadcasted on ESPN, ESPN Plus, or on the ESPN app. And first of all, statement made by Terence Crawford defending that WBO welterweight world title, improving to 37-0, and proving that he is arguably the number one welterweight in the world. Before this fight, I wasn't seeing it that way, but now I could 100% see why you could have Bud Crawford as pound for pound number one. Before this, he really didn't beat anybody, but the fact that he beat Kell Brook easier than Triple G and Errol Spence is just a huge statement. Triple G stopped him in 5 without even dropping him, and Errol Spence stopped him in 11 with a knockdown that happened because of his eye was swollen shut and he had to take a knee. No shots even landed. Bud Crawford landed a jab that sent Kell Brook flying into the ropes, which was scored a knockdown, which is correct. Then he came in for the kill, huge right hands, uppercuts, hooks, all you can name it, the kitchen sink. The referee stopped the fight. Dominant fourth round that got Terence Crawford the victory. Before it, I had a 30-27 for Kell Brook, but all that matters is that Terence Crawford got the KO win against Kell Brook. That's it. All that matters is the outcome, not the rounds that came before, if it's a knockout. And Terence Crawford is known for being a slow starter. Just like the Kavaiskis fight, he did lose the early rounds, but then he came back and won by KO. But just, wow, I'm just very surprised. But one thing here, I did hear the commentators say that Terence Crawford was just not happy with the money he's getting in Top Rank and the fighters that he's fighting. And he said that if he stays with Top Rank, he'll never be able to fight Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence in an undisputed mega fight. He'll never be able to fight Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, all of those guys. I mean, he'll never get to fight them. He could take on Errol Spence, get 3 world titles there if he wins that one. Either guy that wins that one will have a setup matchup versus Manny Pacquiao for the undisputed titles. And PBC already has 3 of the world champions and many highly rated contenders in the welterweight division. So it'd just be great if Terence Crawford were to go to PBC and we could see mega fights after mega fights. Pacquiao versus Crawford, Pacquiao versus Garcia, Pacquiao versus Thurman, Crawford versus Thurman, all those guys. There's so many combinations you could name there. Some of the top guys in the world are in the welterweight division. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao, the 3 top guys at welterweight are top 10 pound for pound in my opinion, if not top 15. Kell Brook here, what's next for him? Now 3 losses to 3 top fighters. I mean, all the 3 guys he has lost to are in the top 10 pound for pound. But just what a statement it is by Terence Crawford to actually drop Kell Brook and stop him, unlike any other fighter has. It's just unbelievable. I was not expecting that. A guy who started at 135 to carry that much power in a division 12 pounds plus against a guy who's fought at 154 multiple times and 160 against the best fighter at the time, who was pound for pound number 1, which was Triple G. But probably what's next for Terence Crawford if he moves to PBC, I could see him fighting Manny Pacquiao. I mean, honestly. Because I think he does want to fight Manny Pacquiao as opposed to Errol Spence, who does have to handle with Danny Garcia. But I feel like if Crawford were to beat Pacquiao, which he probably will, since Pacquiao is 40-something years old, I can't put a finger on what's his actual age. But he's in his 40s. Pacquiao's prime was around 10 years ago. So, if not 5 years ago. Pacquiao's a long-living legend. He's one of my favorite fighters. But I do think Terence Crawford will win that fight. And in my opinion, I think that Danny Garcia will lose against Errol Spence. So that's right there already setting up an undisputed title fight, because Terence Crawford, if he beats Pacquiao, will pick up the WBA title as well. And it just set up a huge mega fight. Arguably one of the biggest fights of all time. And in the welterweight division, is one of the most anticipated and impressive and best divisions in the world right now in boxing. So what a better way to put a mega fight on. And imagine if the World Boxing Super Series could have done a tournament in the welterweight division or the heavyweight division, divisions like that. I mean, it would just be excellent to see. But moving on into this fight, Bud Crawford, as I said before, dominant victory. Just excellence, pure excellence. Early on, Kell Brook was landing some good check hooks, some good right hands, but it just wasn't enough. He got hit with that jab, which started it all right on the chin, and then followed up by a huge flurry of shots. But Kell Brook, I definitely think if there's something wrong with his orbital bone or something like that, like his fights versus Triple G and Errol Spence, because I saw after the fight his eyes were pretty messed up. They were bloodshot red, very swollen. But those injuries only happened in the 10 seconds that he got dropped and stopped standing. I mean, that was it. Before that, in the first 3 rounds, Terence Crawford did have a little nick on his, I believe it was his right eye, and he also had a little swelling around there because Crawford was losing those 3 rounds, I have to say. 100% he was. But it's just, as I said before, it just matters if it's a knockout, it's a knockout. Just like when Wilder took on Ortiz, he was losing every round, but no one really talks about that. They just talk about the excellent knockout Wilder had. And just like here, no one's talking about how Terence Crawford was losing those first couple rounds pretty clearly, but he did get the knockout, improving to 37-0. I mean, he's definitely, in my opinion, a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter through and through. I have Canelo still number 1 based on their resume, multi-weight world champion, both of those guys. But number 2, definitely I'm seeing Terence Crawford at number 2. If not Errol Spence at number 2. But Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are relatively even in my opinion. They're such good fighters, very talented, and I would love to see them fight in the future. So overall, very, very good performance from Terence Crawford, defending that WBO title, showing some sort of a new style I've seen at the welterweight division. I've never seen him fight a guy this good and look this good. I mean, he looked better than his last fight against Kavaiskas. He looked better in this fight than he did against Kavaiskas, who's, well, clearly a worse opponent, being that he's fought nobody at the caliber of Kell Brook. So, as I said before, great performance from Terence Crawford, defending that world title. And, yeah, that's really it. I'm Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.